She talks. She listens. She cares. She's Joyce Oglesby. In today's ever-changing world, Joyce takes on the hottest issues. She fights for what's right in America.
I wanna leave a legacy. How will they remember me?
Just Ask Joyce is brought to you by Guaranteed Total Construction, Window World, Nans and Crafts Florists, Squire Boone Caverns, and About Face Spa and Salon. Now, just ask Joyce.
And leave that kind of legacy.
And welcome to Just Ask Joyce. I'm Joyce Oglesby, your Family Life Fix-It Pro. We're going to get you fit for life and love today, God's way. And I'm so excited about this show because this is a show that many of you deal with. There are problems that most marriages deal with. And not just marriages, but just any kind of relationship that you have. It is called deceit. I don't think any of us are going to live long enough to make sure that we go through a day or a season in our life where there's not some kind of deceit or betrayal involved. Prayerfully, your marriage is not full of that. But we're going to hear from Jennifer in LaGrange today in an email about some deceit in her marriage. But I also have a very special guest with me today. You're going to love her, Cassie Soete from Louisville, Kentucky. Many of you already know her. She has been on my show. She was kind of a staple. She and George, her late husband, were a staple on the Just Ask Joyce show when I was on radio, and now you get to see her live with me in person right here. And she is going to be sharing with us a big kind of deceit that can happen in marriages, and prayerfully not yours. Let me just say, though, that these flowers from Nans and Craft are absolutely amazing. They are Asiatic lilies, and are they just stupendous? It kind of transitions great from spring to summer, so make sure that you call Nans and Craft and get you some for your home. Cassie, these are yours.
Oh, thank
today.
you very, very, very much.
Sweetheart.
I appreciate it.
They are. All right, this is Cassie Soete. I don't want to waste any more time because Cassie has an incredible story. And 20 years, it was your anniversary, 20th anniversary, and George was coming home to take you out, you thought, to dinner.
I thought.
Instead, you know, and the 6 kids, y'all were going to leave with a babysitter and go out and have dinner.
We were.
You had a toddler, a young baby.
A year and a half, actually. Year and a half, 3, 13, 15, 17, and 19.
Wow. That was a flock of youngins now.
That was a flock of youngins.
All right, so instead of going out to dinner, George comes home and announces that he wants a divorce because he's in love with a family friend of your all's.
Yes, that's correct.
Quite a blow.
More than quite a blow. I thought I was going to die, actually. I thought, you know, how can this be? You know, we've been married 20 years, 6 kids, 2 of them little, and 4 teenagers. But I thought, well, somehow I'll find a way.
And it was a battle for you and George, both, you know, but I know that everybody's saying, okay, oh my goodness, you know, he's walking out with 6 kids there. What is this lady going to do? Now, I'll give it to George because George financially kept you.
He was wonderful to me.
Able to stay home with those
Absolutely.
kids. So that
I did not
way,
have
he
to
was
go
a
back
really
to
stand-up
work.
guy.
No, he was.
Stand-up guy.
He was a good man who
Yes.
really went off the track. He totally, I don't know, was mesmerized by this woman.
It happens, doesn't it?
It does happen.
But that is deceit in a way that no married couple ever wants to be introduced to, because betrayal, that kind of betrayal, even God says, you know, that's a very, you know, the scriptural ground for divorce. I mean, that's big time stuff. He hates divorce. He hates unfaithfulness. But that unfaithfulness, you guys went through 4.5 years.
We did.
Not divorcing.
No, the divorce papers came twice, but by the grace of God, we were able to sustain. I thought, well, this is a game between me and the other woman, and I'm pretty filled with tenacity, so.
Oh, not you, Cassie.
No, not me, but I am, which is a good thing. I'm glad that I stayed the course.
Well,
really.
your persistence paid off.
My persistence paid off.
But in this 4.5 year stretch, George comes and goes 8 times.
Different times.
Right, he comes and leaves 8 times.
One time he stayed a total of 9 months, But it was never right. I could tell that he still had one foot in the other situation, yes.
All right. That kind of deceit has to destroy a heart. I mean, you know,
It doesn't help.
No, even coming back those 8 times, did you have hope that, okay, this time he's going to come and stay for good?
Each time I did. Each time I did think that, but technically I was functioning on my power and not Christ. So.
Yeah. Well, I think I know the story because
you do. You know it better than I do.
My audiences many times.
Yes.
But in that period of time, you were introduced to Jesus Christ in a big way, and that was kind of really the turning point for you.
For me personally.
Because at that point, you're like, whatever comes out, I'm going to be okay.
No matter what happens to me, whether George divorces me or stays or doesn't, I'm good. And I knew that I had the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and that's a good thing.
Well, I remember the story well. I know at some point you presented George a Bible for.
I did.
I think it was Christmas.
It was Christmas
gift,
time,
right?
all the kids signed it. Yes, they did.
Wow, and it is so.
It's a
telling.
Oh, I wish I had brought it. I forgot to bring it. Usually I travel with it, but I forgot it today.
Your youngest one signed it, and it's just so heart-wrenching.
My younger daughter is Cassie, and she said, "Dear Dad, will you please come home and stay forever?" And I mean, every time I share that, there's not many drives.
Oh, no. It's just that touching.
And our son wrote, "Dear Dad, please read the words in this book. They will cure you." So that was a good one.
They did. Now, he didn't pick it up for a long time, I know, but
several years later.
At some point, he did.
He did.
At some point, he did, and of course, he read the inscriptions of your kids and you.
Yeah.
But he also read the words in the book.
He did.
Your all's life turned around dramatically. The ninth time he came back, and he stayed.
Absolutely stayed for 30 years.
For 30 years, you guys celebrated your 50th anniversary.
We did, September 7th.
Before he died in that next April. And that was a huge loss. George was an incredible man.
He was.
He spun a wonderful
Now we're not going to cry
legacy.
This time,
no, we're not
I'm going to try really hard not to cry.
We're not going to cry.
I miss him.
But I know you do. But I guess for those people in our audience who might have maybe gone through this and they're in their midst, and I know that you and George mentored a whole lot of folks.
I'm still mentoring now.
And you're still mentoring. Because marriage is worth saving if it's possible, and not everyone can do what you do.
No,
can I say
absolutely
that?
not.
I know it takes.
It takes two willing hearts.
It takes two willing spirits. That's right.
And if you can't be married by yourself, I mean, you have to be prepared for a divorce in case that is the path you have to go down.
It could be because the other person may decide, oh no, I'm out.
Exactly.
I'm out.
You have to go with that.
So you cannot do any more than the other person is willing to do. God needs everybody's cooperation if He's going to heal a marriage. But you and George, I believe from all the stories that I've heard, and I've heard many, you all came back together and shared a marriage richer and deeper and fuller
than we ever dreamed.
And it was worth it.
It was worth the ride. It was worth the ride. I would do it all over again, pain and all, because this 30-year marriage far surpassed the first 20. It was a lot better. I mean, we were invested in each other. I didn't rub his nose in it. I tried to. It's a very important part for everyone to understand. If you do that and rub their nose in it, you're not going to get any, number one, satisfaction for yourself, but your spouse is going to be resentful to me. And I didn't want to be that kind of wife. I wanted to be a better wife.
Right. Well, that's an important key. It's wisdom right there. Because if you're going to move on, you have to leave behind the past, right?
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to, Cassie, it's a great story. We're going to have you back on more. Just ask Joyce to kind of share some of the details of that story and how we can plow through it and help people. But that's a thumbnail sketch for sure. Now we're going to come back and we're going to address an email from Jennifer and LaGrange about deceit as well. A different kind of deceit, but hey, we'll see how it progresses. All right here on Just Ask Joyce. Don't go away. There's more.
You're watching Just Ask Joyce. where real life and family values connect. Just Ask Joyce is brought to you by Guaranteed Total Construction, Window World, Nans and Crafts Florists, Squire Boone Caverns, and About Face Spa and Salon.
And welcome back to the Just Ask Joyce show. If you have never listened to me before, I am a Family Life Fix-It Pro. I would love to take your relationship problem and find a fix for it, just like I'm going to do with Jennifer from LaGrange right here. And this is presented to you by Window World Mailbag. So just listen to this scenario, guys. I've recently caught my husband in some lies. Most of them are little things, but one regarding our finances has really troubled me. I know the truth, yet he still denies it. We're crazy about each other, and I don't want it to affect us, but where do I draw the line? Where do you draw the line, girl? Let me tell you. Well, I'm just going to say that forgiveness can eradicate a number of things, all right? But if those grievances continue to occur, you're not going to be able to move on, and you're going to probably build yourself into a more difficult situation, a difficult marriage, than what you had bargained for to start with. So I'm going to give you Joyce's fix. So watch this. Take note, guys. I'll inject some of my own opinions here, of course, and they are my opinions. You have to understand, but if you want to fix your marriage, then let's get started here. Number one, his reaction. What was his reaction when you confronted him? Was he remorseful? Was he, ashamed? Or was he a little bit arrogant about the whole ordeal? Now, what I read in your email is that he is denying. He's denying that. So I don't see the remorse there. And I think that's very, very critical as to whether or not you're going to see a pattern to this lying and maybe some more trouble down the road. All right, number two, boldness is imperative. All right, you have got to be bold, little lady, and confront him every time you find him in some compromising story. And don't hold back. If you're going to make this marriage work, it's going to be incumbent upon you to let him know that, look, I'm not going to tolerate this. So you approach that with boldness. But I'll tell you this, be kind, but draw the line, okay? Be kind, but draw the line. Number three, discuss the intent. Now, when I say that, I know that there are some premeditated liars. There are some premeditated offenses, but there are some people that just say things flippantly, and then after they've said it, they're like, gee, I wish I hadn't said that, or that was not entirely the truth. Now, it takes a different kind of person to come back and say, you know what, I just told you a big old fat fib. I didn't mean to, it just slipped out. They are few and far between, but I think that his intent is really, really critical in your situation. So you just check the intent, all right? But the thing is with intent, there's pain inflicted whether it's intended or not. So, but number four, I think trust is essential. No good marriage will survive without trust. I have said so many times to couples, trust is on loan. It's only yours until someone takes it back. And so what's going to happen is if he continues this pattern of lying, he's going to erode one of the critical foundations of your marriage. Of course, the most critical foundation is that it's built on Christ the rock. But, that is a very essential ingredient in your marriage, trust, and he's going to erode it. Now, the next one I would tell you is to look but don't gawk. Look but don't gawk. And I'm telling you to be vigilant. You watch for lies, but don't just camp out waiting, all right? Because that's going to cause you to not to be relaxed in your relationship at all. He's going to be thinking, oh, she's looking for some lie, and you're going to be thinking, I'm waiting for one. So look, but don't gawk, but be vigilant, all right? Because integrity is important. Protect your future, and that's the last one. Protect your future. Denying is lying. It is. So if he's denying to you, he's lying to you again. You protect your future. You've got to let him know that integrity is really important to you. It's part of the reason why you fell in love with him, right? So both of you need to value that and press forward and make sure that integrity is in place because, like Cassie's story, it could become greater and greater. And we'll talk with Cassie at the end of the show again. So make sure that you stick around because she'll shed some light on some deceit. Don't go away. Write me, justaskjoyce.com or justaskjoyce@gmail.com. Go to justaskjoyce.com and check out my books. But I can help you with your relationship question. You'll see the number flashed at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you write it down. Call me, write me, whatever it takes. Let's get your marriage in shape. We'll be back after the short break. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've been visiting with Cassie Soete. We're going to visit with her again after this quick break. But let me just come back and wrap a little bow around the email from LaGrange, Jennifer there, by giving you this quote for the day, Jennifer, all right? You listen to this. Boundaries are better defined with a permanent marker rather than an erasable pencil. What I want you to do, Jennifer, is to draw a line in the sand with your husband and say, look, you know, integrity rules in my house. Integrity has to rule in our house. And so then you set those rules for integrity down for him. And if you do it with a pencil so that he can erase them and move them out, or if you allow him to extend those boundaries, then you might deserve what you're going to get in the end. But I can tell you, I don't know what the financial picture was with you, but I can tell you it sounded like something maybe a little bit egregious there. So just make sure that you draw those lines in the sand, or one that he can't cross, and you hold him accountable for that, and then seek help if it continues, because if you don't, your marriage could be in peril. And I can tell you, you know, Proverbs 10:9, I love it. God says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. And that is so true, is it not? So let's walk a line of integrity in our marriages, because it's going to be best for a long-lasting marriage. We'll be back after this short break. Remember to write me, justaskjoyce@gmail.com, and let me help you with your relationship problem today. Thank you so much for joining me today, and my very special friend, Cassie Soete. Now, guys, if you're looking at my little hippie doodah, I think that's what Cassie called it. This is compliments of Jessica at About Face Spa and Salon, and of course the face, Mary. She always does a stellar job. But if you want to see what Jessica's going to do next time, you have to tune into the next episode of Just Ask Joyce. Jessica's got all kinds of ideas. She does a good job. All right, Cassie, so as we're looking at these wonderful flowers here, which are yours, don't forget. But, you know, Jennifer, really, it troubles me, because here we go. We're starting some deceit in the marriage. And if it's a lie, if it's a white lie, if it's a colossal lie like George was living for a while, it's still deceit, and betrayal feels the same, doesn't it?
And it grows. It grows and grows and grows. So the more you cover up those little lies, the bigger the mountain, and then you trip over it and you're done.
Right.
You know, it's like,
well, you know, Fleetwood Mac has a little song. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. You know, but we don't want those. No. You know, we don't want lies in our marriage. That just betrays the trust. And I'm sure that you recognize some lies that George told before.
I could have been an expert on lying. I read an article one time about how you can tell when a person's lying or not, and you can see it in their eyes. And I always knew that he was not. There was something amiss.
If he won't lock in a gaze, if he's not going to make eye contact with you.
No, he didn't. And I always knew and could tell when it was coming. Yeah. I really could.
I know.
I don't know if that's a women's instinct or if it was just me knowing George.
Our kids lie, don't we?
Yeah, but I think when you know somebody for 20 years, prior to that, you kind of know their quirks and their. So
we don't want to think that of our spouses, that they would betray our trust, that they would lie to us in some way.
Yeah. But you're a believer. You just believe, well, he wouldn't do that. But when you're so caught up in things, you have to protect your own hide, I guess, first.
Well, yes, you've got to protect your future, like I was telling Jennifer, because, you know, if we keep buying the lie, eventually it's going to be a train wreck for somebody. And so you just kind of have to protect your interests. You do. But at the same time, like you gave, once you saw George coming back to resolve your all's marriage, you know, you have to kind of back off. He has to earn that trust again, though, right?
He does have to earn the trust, but you cannot rub their nose in it. He was so remorseful, though.
Yeah,
to
I
his
can
credit,
tell.
he never once wavered with his walk with Christ, and he never once wavered with, he never told me a lie in 30 years.
Wow.
Not once. Not even about being hot or cold or the thermostat, nothing. He told the truth.
He earned it.
Which was sweet. It
He
was
earned
a
it.
sweet way to end our
Yes, it was.
50 years.
Yeah, and you'll get that
I
opportunity
get to see him
again
one day.
one of these days. All right, guys, deceit. Deceit can ruin a marriage, whether it's just a little white lie or whether it's some big secret that you're keeping. But as we said, the truth will be found out at some point.
Absolutely.
But don't do that to the people you love. Don't do it to what matters the most and what you value the most, like 6 children. It was a legacy worth keeping. Thank you so
really
much,
was.
Cassie.
Thank you for
Soete.
having
I love
me.
you to death.
I love you to death.
And I love you to death. And write me, justaskjoyce@gmail.com. The number will be on the screen. Call me. All right, 493-5110, I believe. Call me and make sure that you contact me. Don't let your marriage be destroyed over deceit or any other reason. Thank you so much. Join me next time. I'm Joyce Oglesby. I'm your Family Life Fix-It Pro, and as you well know, I'm in battle for his cause.